welcome everybody to another episode of The Bridge. I'm your boy Chad Cherry. Basically, I'm the moderator for this conversation. I'm gonna drop a lot of knowledge. Today, for this topic, we're doing voter suppression 2. I've got to issue a general trigger. We have to talk about some current events. There's something that happened in Philly. We're gonna show a video. If you are sensitive, if this situation with police killing black men or black bodies in America triggers you, you're gonna wanna basically close down and come back in about 10 minutes because we're gonna show this video because it's one of the things we have to talk about. Which is what we call barbershop talk. It's king talk. It's semi-political from a black male's perspective. So we always tackle current events, but today specifically, we're talking about voter suppression, but we are going to tell you, we're gonna define it. And then after we define it and talk about some of the most popular issues like misinformation, right? Things you may not think about, like Ice Cube and his effect, like Amy Coney Barrett being elected to the Supreme Court. We're going to talk about those things, but more importantly, today, we're going to focus a lot on solutions. And we're going to talk about some things that you probably won't hear on any other political podcast, which is why we are so important. The information that we will get out to you tonight and that we do in subsequent podcasts, you need to share. This is unfiltered. This is real. This is our opinions. This is not endorsed or supported by anybody else. And we are not endorsing or supporting anybody else unless you hear someone say it. This is just us being us, doing it for y'all. So with that being said, let's introduce who we've got in the house today. We have Mr. James Howard, who is our producer, right? You're plugged in. You can watch us live on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. No, not Instagram, everyone but Instagram. But we have platforms. We have our resident wisdom, Chef Irie in the building, who is, I mean, he be killing it, man. Chef Irie, even though that chef title there, he knows so much and he always brings a lot of balance to the conversations, right? We have a second time guest, and for all the new guests, I'm going to let y'all introduce yourselves. We always do that. You can tell people where you're at. I'll do a very go in order. So we have for a second time, Mr. D-Tron. What's good, my brother? I know you had a Black Lives Matter screen prepared for us. I'm sorry that this new platform doesn't show it, but we'll give you 2 minutes and a second to say it. In the middle of your screen, well, in the middle of my screen, we have my brother Asa. Asa is an amazing young man. I've known him forever. I call him young, but it's the fan, bro. That's because I've known you for so long, right? But he's the leader of the next generation. And got some real things to say. Y'all got to listen to what he's talking about and the movement that he's building. You got my man Space right here. Space Jenkins, what's good, family? I'm feeling the hat. Okay, the fresh brim lets me know you might be from up top somewhere.
A Miami Southern boy, but yeah, I appreciate you coming in and inviting me.
Definitely, thank you. So, fellas, go ahead for my new people. Take 2 minutes and give everybody just a little bit of background on yourself and what you do, and then we'll jump right into the same thing. So we're gonna start with D-Tron. We're gonna go in order. So D-Tron, Asa, and then Space. And if you could you mute your mics while everybody else is talking, if possible? D-Tron, sir, talk to the people.
I think he got a delay. Or he's
everybody. Yeah. You know, I know you said don't endorse candidates. We're going to have to throw a company under the bus.
No, you can endorse. I was just saying that the podcast itself.
You know, the service is so up and down in this area. See, you know what? Let Asa go ahead and speak. See if I could work on the connection.
Cool. Asa, brother, bring us in.
What's going on, brothers? It's beautiful to be here with y'all today. Thank you, Chef Chad, for y'all put me on the big screen. It's beautiful to be here with y'all today. I have been doing like a little bit about my story. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, born and raised. The son of Albert Carlshaw Jr. I say that because I love my father. He was a single father, raised me up, and kind of instilled into me all the things that projected me into the career that I'm currently in, which is social activism and Black liberation. I would say right now I'm working for an organization. I'm the co-director of an org called Black Men Build. And Black Men Build, what we're trying to do in this org is to bring Black men together as a political force in this country, because we understand that Black liberation cannot happen unless we have all parts of the Black community together, working as one. And if you look anywhere, you look at colleges, you go to church and you look at the pews, and you look at any social service organization, you'll see Black women in abundance, but you won't see so many Black men. So we really want to get brothers serving our communities again in a real way, because we understand that all parts of the Black community need to be together and working as one if we're going to achieve Black liberation. And Black Men Build is not an organization for Black men specifically. We focus on Black men, but our aim is to get Black men to serve the Black community. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I've been doing like a lot of organizing work for a very long time in the community around police brutality, state violence, better living wages, anything that concerns Black folks. I'm there, and I'm a body to be used. So that's me.
Well, good evening. First of all, I want to give a shout out to all the honorable guests on board. My name is Space Jenkins, born and raised in Miami, world traveler, and just a observer. So one of my biggest traits is observing, from the world to the industry to just life in general. Born and raised in Liberty City, proud Miami Northwestern Bull. Graduate of Florida Memorial University, also a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. So the Black experience, I'm it. I went to Holmes Elementary, Charles Drew, Northwestern, and Florida Memorial University. So literally, an embody of Liberty City, Miami, Dade County. So that being said, also an entrepreneur, also a realtor, both licensed in Florida and Georgia. And just an all-around hustler, man. I guess the beauty of my hustle, man, I can walk in the corporate field, I can walk in the city field. So just blessed, an avid reader, and a God-fearing father. As you can see, I have an oldest daughter who's at Howard University. So just try to call, cool, calm, collected, but very observant is my thing. And I'm once again honored to be amongst the rest of the guys here to give my piece on what's going on in this crazy world we're living in.
I love it. Thank you, man. So I know if I ask you who's the real HU, I know what you gonna say, brother.
Absolutely. So absolutely.
100. So I ain't gonna start no rivalries up here. You know, as Black people, we gotta stay together. So I ain't gonna start.
We got to. We love all HBCUs.
We do. Facts. That's a fact, man. But with that being said, this is the point where we get a trigger warning. We're gonna jump right into what happened in Philly. D-Tron, are you back? Are you back, brother? Because we got to give you a second to.
He didn't come back yet, Chad.
Okay.
I think he logged off the cut, but come back in.
All right. So when he comes back in, we'll get him on. But we'll pause in between this. But right now, let's jump into this Philly shooting. That's our most current news. So we got to cover it. This is a trigger warning again. If this is something that triggers you, if the death of Black lives trigger you, this is not something you want to watch. You can pause. You can log off for just a few minutes and then come back in during the discussion. But yeah, let's do it, y'all. This is graphic. This is disturbing. Just know that you can pause and come back. We won't take offense to it. Take it away, James.
Yo, this shit going on. Yo, watch the wheel. Don't shoot the wheel. Yo, this shit crazy. He gonna smoke. Yo, watch my wheel. Yo, this shit get crazy out here. Oh shit. Oh my God. Bro, they just killed them in front of me. Yo. Y'all ain't had to give him that many fucking shots. Y'all ain't had to give him that many shots. Yo, what the fuck? Yo, this shit crazy, cuz. Yo. Chill, bro. Don't get in no shit with him, bro.
What you talking about, bro? It's always him. He nutty.
Yo, what the fuck, bro? This
fucking
shit
nutty.
in front of me.
Cops to take. Yeah. First, guys, I just, I want some blessings out to his family. If he has any children, which I'm not sure of, want to send blessings out to them. It is a double tragedy that he got killed, but now that this lives on forever on the internet, so if he does have children or family, they got to see this over and over again. That's a double tragedy. There's some more in there. I'm not gonna take up all the space. No pun intended, family. But y'all I want the fellas to come in, man. We got some different perspectives on this, and I got something I got to get off my chest. But brothers, it's go time. You just jump in here. Tell us how y'all are feeling about this. Let's get it all out in the open. Let's do
it. Okay, who want to go first?
I want to hear what Space was saying again, man. Yeah, I want to hear what you were saying again.
Okay. So I did watch the video earlier, and it's tragic. I mean, it's just tragic. I mean, you can't put a cherry, you can't put a lipstick on that. That is tragic. I mean, the biggest thing is that he got killed in front of his mom. Obviously, I don't know the relationships at this point, but I'm assuming that's his mother. From initial to reading the article, it said that he had some mental disturbances, obviously, and that the police pulled up on him, and that it was a domestic situation with his mom. The mom actually, I think, called the police, and once again, I kind of read this in haste, but the mom was calling to calm him down. And we see what happened. So I'm gonna play a role that I'm gonna say. Once again, my opinion is we as brothers, as we all on this court, we have to protect each other. If America hasn't showed us anything, it has showed us that we are in this thing together. And that's the one thing, unfortunately, we haven't gotten yet, is that we are our own protector. If we've been looking for somebody to take care of us financially, socially, physically, America has showed us that it will not consistently. And up until the time when we stop killing each other, how can you expect them not to kill us? Not saying it's right, but 1 second, baby. Okay, 1 second, baby. Yeah, I'll get you some milk. Give me 1 minute. All right. That's live and raw right there. So I say this, fellas, and I'll wrap it up quick. And once again, I'm not advocating police because trust me, if you go on my page, my social media, I'm not that. But I want to step into another realm of thought. Imagine a white officer. Let's just take Florida let's take Miami, right? Let's imagine a white officer who lives in South Beach, but patrols Liberty City. One of the notorious people who not familiar with Florida, patrols Liberty City 6 days a week. And on his radio, he hears stabbing, shooting, stabbing, shooting, stabbing, shooting, stabbing, shooting. His whole shift, right? And he pull up on his 6 days, and he sees us kill each other at a rate that is, I can't even put a word what we doing to each other. 17, 18, 19, we kill each other like it's a sport. We rapping about it. We putting it in our music. We making it sound so good to kill each other that it sound you can dance to it. And he sees this 7 days a week, how we treat each other, how we kill each other cold blood, right? And then he gets that one call, unfortunately, and this is what he pulls up on, not justifying. I don't want to justify, but I want to get the thought of bad training, a fear of black men. This is what's going to happen every time unless we put the camera phones down and we become brothers and say, let's go tackle him before the police shoot him. Let's grab, hey, we're not gonna worry about filming this. We're gonna go protect this brother because where he's going, we know where it's going. And the gentleman said it. This ain't going well. This ain't gonna end well. They knew what was gonna happen. And I just think until we start to protect each other and have a force where we're not gonna let that happen, we can speak to each other. We can have a force where we're not enemies, we brothers. Unfortunately, this is gonna be something that is not gonna be addressed no time soon. Unfortunately.
Damn. Yeah, jump in, Asa. What's up? You have any thoughts on this, brother? Or D Crone, you see you back?
Yeah, man. I make sure I'm an angry man. That's why I don't watch those videos. Because there's only so much that if you're a logical thinking man and a strategic thinking man and a critical thinking man that you can do when you're facing the American empire. There's only so many things that you can do. Because if you take pure numbers, you understand that us trying to wage some type of war against the American system is just, it doesn't fit in our favor, right? And you also understand that by us, even if we did get armed up enough to protect our communities and, just waging war doesn't make sense. If you're a logical thinking man, if you read any Sun Tzu, The Art of War, then you understand that it doesn't make sense. But that doesn't mean that we don't get mad as hell about this shit. And that doesn't mean that we don't need some type of outlet to put out that anger, right? My outlet to release the anger that I feel from seeing that video and just every day seeing the situation that Black folks are going through similar to that, or whether it be poverty, not making wages on a job, trying to go up in a job and make wages in a company that you've been loyal to, but you keep getting stonewalled by a white boss, or any one of the many things that Black folks go through in this country that breeds a sort of tension in us that we always feel, that's always palpable, that kind of prickles on our skin when we walk around. All of those things, I use all of that. I use all of those things to do the work that I do. So whether that be protest, whether that be thinking about policy and legislation, whether that be doing a community service event that's feeding the people, that's helping a parent get respite from working every day and taking care of their kids. All of those things I channel my anger through. But there's only so much, you know what I'm saying? There's only so much that you can do to channel that anger. And some of that anger is residual and sits inside of us, man. So, man, I ain't got nothing to say, man. I just try to stop watching it. But still find outlets to put my anger into. So I'm not so mad all of the time.
So,
I can't say that, but I'm just mad as hell, bro.
Now, I appreciate the fact that you talked about ways to channel anger, because that is absolutely necessary, man. We gotta find ways to channel that space. What you're saying, dude, about us, I'm gonna piggyback right on that. What you're saying about us taking responsibility for ourselves, that resonates here with me as a man. I felt a way listening to the dude who was recording it, commentating like it's a sports game, right? I felt a way about it because I feel as a man like me, I know I wouldn't have been able to sit and just watch. I would have had to have some kind of action. That's how I'm built. But there's a place for someone to record because it has to be documented. The real thing, I think we got to shout out, right? Because everything that you two brothers have said, those are real solutions. We need to have a space to vent and to push our stuff out and to rechannel those emotions, because if not, they literally will eat us up. We need to have a space where brothers can take action in the moment, right? But what we need even more, guys, and I just want to call it out there, is there should be some shit that happens before it even gets to this point, right? I got a brother in Pittsburgh that has a mental health thing called Steel Smiling. It's mental health professionals that are black and brown that look like us, and we're gonna have to have him on the show, right? Charlemagne the God talks about it all the time. Why are there no other first call options organizations? And if there are, please talk about them. But where are our other first call options before we get to the police presence? And that's just my take on this. Anybody else can take, but I think we need something. I think we need to have a de-escalation before it even gets to police among ourselves that we do.
Well,
Community, whatever.
Well, Chad, I agree with Space. With when I look at the video and I see his mom trying to stop him, and the people that's around is not trying to help his mother, and I'm like, where is the community?
Right.
This is our community. We should be trying to govern ourselves, not let the police govern us.
Right.
And that's the aspect that we got to come together as a community, us as black, because we used to be like that. Now we have lost that.
And sorry, and Detron, bro, if you want to jump in, Irie, if y'all want to jump in, bro, this is a heavy one.
Yeah, sorry, I had to switch to my mobile phone. I don't know if it's a laptop or Comcast that was killing me. But I hear what you guys are talking about. I don't know, I almost don't want to like touch the particular video because, while obviously there is a problem with over-policing, and there's a history that's tied to a whole bunch of things. And yes, this systemic. Every incident isn't, I think, we have to be hesitant to call everything or racial or wrong or whatever. So I think this is one of those moments when I saw the video, I just hope that, okay, well, there would be a pause before it automatically fed into the same rhetoric that gets politicized and therefore gets, weakened and softened, and is the reason why nothing, doesn't seem to happen. Because once it gets politicized and the same speaking points get to be issued both for and against the event and the issue, it's going to be dead in the water.
Yeah, but we were talking about this earlier because I think the reason why, obviously, to me, if I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, he was charging the police officers. I understand some of their response. I don't understand the lethal part of it because honestly, something as simple as cops being mandated to take jujitsu, I'm talking about not even up until like black belt or something, but I'm talking about for a period of 3 months, they would be able to disarm and de-escalate most situations. Something as simple as that, right? Right?
Potentially.
Potentially. Right? Potentially. The issue I have with this is that, like everything else, this would have been treated differently. I always feel like if this was a white man who they were trying to subdue, they would have found a non-lethal way.
So if I can just jump in. Go ahead.
I was going to say, because one of my aunts in Central Florida took in one of her nephews who has a mental health issue, and he will become violent. And his behavior became such a concern that the family was like, he has to go to an actual facility because we're at a point where we're thinking he's going to physically beat you to death or just pick up a knife and come up here and just cut you up in pieces. So, and he was not a little man either. So while yes, if a person knows jujitsu and they can defend themselves, maybe they can handle the person. I'm a trained fighter, but if you catch me in the street and I have my, firearm that I have a concealed weapons license for, I am not going to take the risk or chance of, saying that because I've been fighting for X amount of time, I'll probably knock you out before you touch me, because anything can happen. And I don't know who you're with, and I want to go home to my family. So I'm going to neutralize the threat, in that manner. So if I'm just in that situation, so I mean, just being fair all around the board. Now, it doesn't mean to say that hey, there can't be other responders. I love that, but whoever said the thing about as a community, it would have been cool if we actually spoke to each other and knew that was Miss Mary and her nephew Stevie. He be flying off the handle sometimes. Da, 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 da. So if you see him in the streets, hey, let's go grab Stevie before the police kill him.
Right.
That would be excellent. That I love that. But I think that type of change in our community, because now you're talking about a cultural change,
Right.
and, spanning generations, and then going against the way the ebb and flow of things now. I think that type of change and solidarity would, is, I mean, that's like asking for, all the, white people to really get it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So it's a whole lot, you know what I mean? And that definitely can't be the immediate goal, because that's something that'll take probably to my grandkids.
Go ahead, Space.
No, I was just going to interject when Chad, when you mentioned that you think it maybe have went different if there had been a white hypothetical in a different neighborhood, and I actually think it wouldn't, only because I think the police heightened in this era with a weapon and the way he was charging. Here's why I think it went deadly, and I've been wrong before. I think when his mother couldn't stop him, I think the officers said, you know what, or whoever this woman was, because they probably didn't know who she was, but if this woman who obviously knows him cannot stop him from doing something, we're gonna have to stop him. And like Jitron said, I think at this point they wasn't ready to fight. They probably can't fight. And unfortunately, the weapon was they can justify weapon to weapon. He has a knife. I feel threatened. I can stand my ground. And unfortunately, we have another brother, dead in the streets, cold blood. It's but I really think, Chad, that I think had that been a white situation, the officers looked frightened, and I just think the surroundings obviously didn't help. You got people screaming, you got people recording, you got this woman screaming, and you got him, and he wasn't hesitant. If you look at the video, he was going to do something. I don't know what that was, but he had whatever's on his mind. He had concluded himself that he was going to do it. And
Done.
I can imagine that could be a dangerous situation. I just imagine what I would have done if I was in the ministry and I had my pistol. I probably would have backed up a couple of times, but I mean, he was whatever he wanted to do, he was going to do it. Unfortunately,
because it's very different when you actually looking at a grown man in the face,
right?
You can see in their eyes.
How many people here own a firearm? How many people here have done the concealed weapons course, the training? You've gone to the range, you've been shooting, right?
Gone to the range, yes.
But I want to go.
Here's the thing, though, right? We all know, obviously, adrenaline pumping, and I'm assuming most of us have been in a fight before. We know what it is, that it's a totally different mind space when you're in the middle of something, right? You got seconds to react. But the purpose of training, especially if you're a professional, is so that you, above anybody else, have a different level of focus or reaction.
Right.
How many people own a gun and when training? Because guess what? I'm not a professional. I ain't never been to the military, but I'm pretty sure if someone was running at me, I could hit a leg.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I could hit an arm. Right. I don't have to just go center mass, and I'm not going to empty king. Right. That what we saw there was a panic. I'm not saying it was justified. Right? So when we talk about things, it does come down to a lack of training, because you're right, Space. They were shook.
They were scared.
Well, Chad,
go ahead.
I was gonna say that we all know at the end of we're gonna take the race car out of it. It's bad policing.
Right.
Point blank. Whatever happened to they didn't have tasers? Tase the man.
Mm-hmm.
Non-lethal form. Shoot him in the leg. Shoot him in the arm. And I said, even when you look at the video, after they shot him, they didn't do anything else. They just stood around. They didn't try to administer no first aid. They shot to kill.
Right. Absolutely.
10 bullets.
They shot to kill. They didn't shoot to wound him so they could apprehend him. They shot to kill him.
And you only have that. But to Space, so bringing back the race issue into it, because it's inevitable.
Right.
There are many recorded instances, all over social media, all over the media, where white men with weapons, some of them guns, some of them knives, even guys with buzz saws, hacksaws, hatchet, and they have come out of their houses or wherever they were that being accosted. And not only have they come out, but they have come literally within feet of police, almost nose to nose. And these men walk back into their homes because they were deemed, they have a mental case. And their guns weren't even drawn in a lot of these instances.
Sure, can I just interject one quick thing?
Yeah.
Is that good policing, right? So maybe those were very well trained, non-fearful police. So once again, I'm just saying, I think our community gets the bad police, as Mr. J said. Subsequently, bad situations happen. I didn't mean to interject. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. So yeah, that could, and obviously a lot of these instances have boiled down to the individuals.
Right.
Because an individual over there probably gets said training, what have you.
Right.
It's all about what you take away, but you can't be the dude with the gun and be afraid.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. You can't be the dude with the gun, and you can't be a police and just say you were just afraid, so you just pop off.
Right.
All right. But unfortunately, in a lot of these communities, because we don't have any of those situations and means where people are called, there's a representation of people to deal with mental health before the cops, which is what a lot of these last several months you've been seeing the cry for, to have those things in place, so that these circumstances don't keep happening, where you see men and women who obviously there's something going on. It might not be somebody that's mental, that's on drugs or on pills, but something that that they're just going on for that day.
Right.
But it doesn't require for you to shoot that man 10 times. Why?
Absolutely. I agree.
And listen, we have all made super valid points, and this is a great second to transition and build on with this conversation, because one thing I want to say, and this is my personal opinion, not of the bridge, I ain't making excuses for nobody no more. If you choose to do a job, I refuse to believe that we get all the bad police and everybody else gets all the good police. Right? I refuse to believe that police are so traumatized by what they do, because I know military. I got military men in my family that have been to real combat, and guess what? They're instructed to de-escalate. There are ways. America knows how, and I'll be damned if I make more excuses for them. And that's just me. But what I'm saying though is we have to have these discussions, because all of these points are valid, and it's such that we have to have them again, but we have to. So to build on that, tonight we're talking about voter suppression, and this conversation is so on point, because if you are reading what these people are talking about doing with this election, even the educated people are talking about that we on the verge of some shit popping off, right? So I want us to talk about voter suppression. I want us to talk about not just what it is, but I want us to talk about things and people and organizations that are out here leading the good fight, so that we have some opportunities to get some knowledge out there about first responders other than police. So we have some best practices other than escalation, so that when we are faced with the nonsense, we're already prepared. And each one of you brothers on this screen has a different perspective, and I'm gonna need y'all to shine with this. Come with the knowledge. So with that being said, does anybody want to give us a working definition of voter suppression, which we didn't do last week, or do you want us to would you like me to do it? Anybody, any of the panelists want to give a working definition of that, or so that we have a starting point to build with?
I mean, I think anything that makes you feel like your vote doesn't count, so you can go ahead and tune out, is voter suppression. Anything that makes you feel like that, even if you do vote because you are who you are, or you are part of this group, that nothing ever is going to change, that is voter suppression. Anything that allows the parties that are vying for power to manipulate how people think, control the questions that they ask, is voter suppression to me. It's not the poll test anymore. It's all those other things that just make you feel like it's just you're helpless, and you need them. So just leave it to them. All that's voter suppression, in my opinion.
Very, I agree wholeheartedly. I think they're trying to hit it right on the head. That's exactly what it is. And so like slavery is not changed in physical captivity that we're dealing with. We're dealing with China buying $1 million worth of Facebook ads with phony accounts that are telling black people, Biden wrote the 94 crime bill, which he was part of 100 senators that wrote the 100 crime bill. All the memes that have him with David Duke with racism, like people. I mean, I don't think how far we understand the scope of what Republicans and conservatives to preserve power are doing via Facebook, Instagram. Twitter has gotten much better on it to mentally think that, like Detron just mentioned, that our vote doesn't count. So why should I even vote? That's what, if once we put the doubt, a pinch of doubt that our vote won't count, they win. And unfortunately, when you put laziness, the corona, and the whole point of I have to do something to get something, you put that together, voter suppression is real. And unfortunately, our people who are usually on the low end of information, unfortunately, we usually the victim of that.
I'm gonna piggyback on what Space said right there, because the media contributes a lot to what society thinks, and they're controlling the narrative through the media. As much as Trump talks about fake news, he put a lot of fake news out there.
Right.
So he's the one that's trying to push the story about Bin Laden not being killed.
Right.
He want to talk about Hunter Biden, which has nothing to do with the election, but you're trying to implant that if his son is doing this, what do you think the father is doing?
Right.
He's trying to control the narrative, as he said on the 60 Minutes interview. He doesn't think he would have got elected without social media.
Right.
And that's a frightening thought, that social media is not the news,
Right.
but you're using it as the news.
Mm-hmm.
But whose fault is that, though?
Huh?
I was like,
that's society.
Whose fault is that, though?
That's society. That's society's fault.
Right. It's like, so I can't. I mean, Space, you don't know, but like, as much as you don't like the Republicans, right? I equally don't like the Democrats. I am one person that is, we should all unregister from a political party.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my best homie is a Republican, so we trust me, man. We go at it. So me and you probably gonna go at it too. But yeah,
no, because I sound
He's
like
independent.
a Republican to Democrats.
Oh,
I
you're
sound like
okay.
a Democrat to Republicans. I don't like either one. So anything that I said about what in regards to suppression or whatever, to me, both parties are just as guilty, and they're playing us. And
That's
we
fair.
should not be loyal to either one.
That's fair.
And really being independent and making them have an actual conversation is the only way I think we can make them be accountable and eliminate all voter suppression.
I agree.
Like, how about this? So it's on the topic. I voted already. And so one of the amendments is Amendment 3. Hey, should we have open primaries in Florida? Okay. So I know both Republicans and Democrats are against this open primary idea. That right there is a perfect example of voter suppression, because by you being the two juggernauts, really the the publicity and advertisement and whatever of these individuals, and then saying, hey, unless you're registered to my party, you can't even vote amongst these people. That's voter suppression, because I, as a citizen, a resident of Florida, etc., when you're running for governor, the best person for the job I should be able to hear from equally and really have a chance to cast my vote for. You know what I mean? Not, just have to do it within the primary, register to one party. And then I think that for the young politicians on either side, those who really want to do right, having it something open like that would give them a chance to, hey, break off from the party agenda and really make their own voice and get a following. You know what I mean? If they were part of either party before, they have some connections. You know what I mean? So now it's just about them raising money. So that type of thing, I think, is necessary to help stop voter suppression. But as long as we tell those two parties, you're the only dog and pony show in town, we're going to be suppressed.
Yeah, I would just say that everybody has said a lot about, which is true, about doubt that comes from it. But I think a lot of that is and a lot of that is meta. And it definitely is voter suppression, but there are actual hard science, hard objective things that they're doing to suppress us too. Like gerrymandering, right? Which is a hard form of voter suppression. Like putting into law the law around if you have a felony, you can't vote. Us fighting for years to get that law changed. We finally got it in 2018. And then they introduced another law to try to retract that. That's real deal voter suppression. That's hard and objective. That's also them when people are trying to put in absentee vote by mail ballots and them rejecting them from signatures that, when I wrote my signature when I was 18, I'm 31. So like, it's not going to look exactly the same. You know what I'm saying? And they're rejecting ballots for these things, not being compassionate around the things that just make sense to be compassionate around. Rejecting people when they get to the polls, right? Having voter ID laws, getting rid of the Voter Act, the Voting Rights Act. All of these things are real hard science things that they're doing to get rid of voter suppression. So just wanted folks to know that it's not only casting doubt, which is really real, but it's also doing actual things and putting things in the law that's changing stuff. And I would just say that that one thing that Republicans do better than Democrats, and I don't like either, right? I don't fuck with either, but I make a strategic choice. And one thing that Republicans are really good at is, specifically Republicans, over the last however many years since Reagan and Nixon, is good at putting voter suppression laws in place that specifically stop Black folks from voting, right? So like, I mean, this is well documented. You can check it out, all the things that they've done over all of these years. So if you're Black and you're Republican, and you're trying to justify the reasons that you are that, I know folks have a million reasons. I'm not saying that one party is better than the other, because I would like for a third party to come into existence, which is what we're trying to create. But Republicans' track record, bro, you just can't, when it comes to Black people, you can't justify it. How do you do that? Right? So, I mean, I think folks should one thing that we're trying to do in Black Men Build is create critical thinkers and bring critical thinkers into space where they can think critically about what's happening in our world and engage with it critically, right? And critical decisions and strategic decisions could mean you choose one party or the other, or a third party, right? It doesn't mean you're loyal to them, but you're choosing them because they have the best interests, which is why I think what Cube did is interesting. Don't completely agree with it. But
please talk about that. That's on the list of topics. That's on. That was on the list of topics. And I'm jumping in real quick because I want to keep it going. I love what you're saying. If you read what the senator said about that, I don't know. I gotta ask y'all what y'all think about what Q said, man. Because everything you said so far for all my folks watching, we're talking about voter suppression. We touched on Philly. We just gave an amazing, I think, very comprehensive definition of what voter suppression is. All three of us guests did that well. Let's touch on Q, and then if we can, Ace, I want to come back to you to talk about black men bills and specifically the work you guys do. So, fellas,
Chad, 1 second. I want to touch on another propaganda that that's
okay.
going on,
Okay.
that's happening at the polls, is how they feel by that if you vote by mail, your vote won't count. And what they're doing is black people are really scared that their vote won't count if they vote by mail. And that's one of the biggest things that they're seeing at the polls. So they're doing a lot of reassuring the people that your vote counts in Florida. That, well, in Dade County, if you vote today, your ballot is going to the elections office that night and being counted the next day.
I don't know if I trust it, bro.
Well, that's why you need. But I mean, with everything that they have set up, I mean, there's always ways and means around the obstacles and the barriers. And so one of the things that people should have been doing, and that's a screw the vote by mail, especially when early voting started, was just drop them ballots off at the early polling booth stations. That's what I did. Yes, I would not mind, waiting in line if this was like, a regular year. But if everybody had just requested about and waited for early voting to drop those ballots off, we wouldn't have to worry about, having, hearing this rhetoric about your ballot, your vote won't count, voting by mail is a fraud, and blah 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 blah. Because that is an option, and it's a viable option. I dropped my ballot off on Thursday, and by Saturday, I could go online and see what happened to my ballot. Ballot was counted by Saturday morning. The ballot was counted.
So let me ask you, Ari, because I love that. Being able to go online and see if your ballot was counted is perfect, because that counts as an argument about what about them excluding you for the signatures. But what happens if you went online Saturday and your vote wasn't counted? Would you have been able to go back and vote again?
No, there are recourses, because you can. Okay, so basically, you're gonna go on and see if what is. So it's 4 steps. You request your ballot, you receive your ballot, and then you drop off your ballot. So the next step is for them to tell you whether or not your ballot was received, and you should be able to see that. And then the next step is that your ballot gets counted. So after the second, when you drop your ballot off, and you can see if it was received, you can call them up, especially if you're doing it early. This stuff is going to not benefit people a lot that always wait last minute. Okay, this is not an election about last minute. We've all had ample time, to go out, and send off those ballots and not wait till last minute, because you last minute means the recourses that's available if something is wrong with your ballot. The signatures don't match. Okay, there are protocols. They should be able to call you, email you, because on the ballot it has all of that on there. Ways for them to contact you to say, hey, there's something wrong with your ballot. Okay, you show that you receive your ballot, but your ballot hasn't been counted in several days, a week. You can call them and say, hey, you received my ballot, but my ballot has not been counted yet. Why is that? And then
Hold
they
on,
will give
hold
you.
on, Irie, because I want to bring the fact checker in on this,
Mhm.
because she has a little more information on the topic. You unmuted. Can y'all hear her?
Yep.
Go ahead.
We lost her.
Can y'all hear her?
Not anymore. We did for a second.
Okay, you hear off of my mic.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
I'm gonna come a little closer.
Okay.
Okay, the other thing you can do if you go online after 4 or 5 days and your vote has not been received, it'll say your votes have been received, if it's been counted, what etc. If that hasn't happened, you still have the option during early voting to walk into a polling precinct during early voting and casting your vote in person. What then happens is in Miami-Dade County, your vote by mail ballot, once they see that you voted in person, they will invalidate that vote by mail ballot and they will take the vote that you did in person. So there's always a way, if you're receiving a vote by mail ballot, to still ensure that your vote is counted.
All right, so that's super dope. That's great to know. That's great information to get out there. If we can, I want to keep us moving. I want to circle back to that cube thing, fellas, because when I first heard it, I was like, no, not O'Shea. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been liking Cube for most of these years, and I gotta ask y'all, how do y'all feel about that? This man said, and is everybody familiar with it, or should I rehash what has happened so far?
No, honestly, I'm comfortable with what Cube did. It makes sense to me. I get it.
You said Q as in what? QAnon?
No, Ice Cube.
Oh, Cube. Oh, Cube.
Yeah, Ice Cube.
Oh, geez. So we gonna talk about Cube?
QAnon is a part of this discussion, but not this particular topic.
Okay, but we talk about Cube. Okay, all right. Don't fuck with the police. Okay.
I mean, it's like when I hear people criticize Ice Cube because there are all these other groups that exist that he could have partnered with, etc. It's like, put myself in that situation. I have clout, I have connections, I have money, and I want to get something done. So now, in order to get something done, I can either go directly to the source myself and try to come up with a project that whoever I counsel with to come up with something constructive, and I can take it there myself, or I can put research and time into finding what a local or regional or national group to pitch this to, so they can take it on to take to the same people. You know what I mean? So that really doesn't make sense to me. Criticizing Cube on that front, because and the fact that he's an actor or athlete, whatever, is like, if these are the people with the capital right now, if they represent, when you think of all the black folks who have millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, if most of them are entertainers and athletes, and we criticize the guys in the past for not saying anything or doing anything, and Muhammad Ali is the greatest because he did, well, they're human beings. We're not going to agree with everything they say or do. They'll fail forward. But the fact that now there's a consciousness amongst the black financial elite that, hey, we have to be active participants in this struggle that affects all of our people, you know what I mean? We'll all fail forward and get it right at some point, you know what I mean? But to jump on each other for stepping out or so-called working with whomever, I mean, that is all kind of ridiculous, to me.
If I can interject a little bit, with the Cube thing, I thought Cube's timing was off. So we all know Trump is a master manipulator, and this has been proven ever since he was a businessman in his early 20s, right? A quick story with Trump. When he owned the Taj Mahal in New Jersey, the casino, he had bad wiring for his for the casino. He didn't get the best quality of electricians. And on the first day of this casino opening in Taj Mahal, the lights went out, the machines went out. It was mass hysteria. People, was going crazy. Trump came on the next day and said, we had so much action. It was so much money in the building. It turned the lights off, right? This is the type of person that you're dealing with, right? You are negotiating with a terrorist. You gonna tell me, out of all the scholarly black men, congressmen, activists who have initiatives for the Black community. You mean to tell me Trump was willing to listen to a rapper? I know he's not just a rapper, but look who Trump is entertaining at the White House.
Facts.
West, Ice Cube, Kim Kardashian. These are entertainment people that he's making moves. Kim Kardashian getting people out of prison. Kanye West, we didn't even know what the hell he's doing. And now Ice Cube, they're taking proposals from him to put on a Black agenda for his 2021 agenda, when in an interview just 2 days ago, they asked him, what's your plans for 2021? And he didn't have an answer for America, but he has an agenda for Black community. I question Trump 2 weeks ahead of 6 days ahead of an election that he's losing in double digits in every major city. He's not genuine. He's never been genuine. And this is the same gentleman that won't denounce David Duke. He told us Mexico was going to build a wall. He told us that we're going to have the best economy in the whole wide world. I mean, he had a plan for healthcare. Now we're going to trust him to save us 6 days out when he understands that the Black community is his only way to him not getting elected. He faces 6 to 7 investigations in New York. He has billions of dollars that's coming up that he has been shielded from because he's been in office that he's been hidden from. If Trump loses this election, Trump has high water to pay money, possibly jail time, and his whole family's lineage being destroyed. So he has a vested interest, and I think Trump is against the wall. And if you and I came to him with a plan to save Black people, he would listen to it, because I just don't think he's genuine. Because what has he done the 3 previous years? I got people out of prison. I gave money to HBCUs. That's great. That's to be applauded. But what else? We bigger than prison. HBCU, that's great. We bigger than prison.
You're right.
We can't be happy right now. We can't be happy with him to come out and say, I got people out of prison. I gave money to HBCU. Now I'm going to give y'all a plan.
But in the words of Trump, he has done more for the African American community than any other president.
Well,
Absolutely.
But in the factual standpoint, that man's organization has lied more than anything else. In a statement released by the White House, I believe it was earlier today,
right,
they claimed that they were ending the COVID-19 crisis.
Right. Been in the corner, as they call it.
That's today. So we have to throw almost everything they say with a grain of salt. I'd say this, right? Q, I applaud you for taking action. I applaud you for apparently doing research and coming up with a plan. My issue is, I think you did not think through the secondary, the third order consequence, the fourth order consequences of you just taking it straight to both campaigns, right? I think that both campaigns may have played you on this one. And that's where I get frustrated with you, because I know you're smarter than that, right? When they were yelling cancel Cube, I was like, hell no, I ain't canceling not one Black man because of what they do, except for what's the doctor's name that was in the cabinet? Ben Carson, we can cancel him. He can get traded. But, I don't think that he had enough advisors around him. And it shows, this is one of those things where it's great that our Black financial elite are starting to get involved in politics, but it shows how low the political IQ is for them. And it shows that your money alone is not enough. Like, they're playing a very different game here, right? I would rather, honestly, I would rather half the brothers on this panel put together a plan, because I think we can put together a better one.
I agree.
Man, I agree. I just think rich people shouldn't be out. Rich Black folks shouldn't be out here trying to speak for all Black people.
Amen.
Because that's just not the experience of all Black people.
I agree.
Even if you came from it, you're in a completely different tax bracket, yo. So, like, I mean, if you're talking about Trump and he's saying he gonna do this little XY thing for you to help you with your taxes, that shit is enticing. But somebody that's making minimum wage, that shit's not, it don't mean shit to them, right? So he has ways to talk to Cube that can move Cube in ways that it wouldn't move the majority of the black population, because we just ain't in that tax bracket.
And Asian,
but I gotta challenge y'all a little bit though.
And I'll say this. That's one thing. Celebrities, rich folks, yeah, they shouldn't be the ones crafting strategy for us. But this is more about being organized. This is about being organized as a community. And the thing that fucks me up around Cube the most, and I love O'Shea, because even in his NWA days, he was the first person to go against them, saying, "Yo, they fucking us over," right? Because he's an aware man. But the one thing I'll say against him is that, yo, you got to be organized and you got to have people to flank you around what you're doing. So you got to have more than one mind in the room, for one. And then two, if Cube did something, like what was Cube's recourse for Trump if Trump didn't do what he said? Was he just going to go knock on his door and be like, yo, remember you said you was going? Like, just Cube himself was not going to get anything done. So not thinking like, yo, if I go meet with this man by myself, I need to have millions and thousands of black people behind me to also try to hold Trump accountable. And that's what organizing is. Folks need to get organized. So I don't want to hear about no one person, even if they're the smartest motherfucker in the world. I don't want to hear about one person going to talk to anybody without being flanked by an organized group of black folks.
I agree.
Listen, I do want to challenge y'all a little bit on this particular topic, because there was a couple things that was in space were saying. Key words that you use. You said save black people. I think right there, regardless of who the person is that goes to the president with a plan, as a people, we should not be looking at for anyone or any party to save black people. So that right there is asking too much, and to expect or require Trump to be a good white boy, a good white folk, as they would say back in the day, and to expect him to be good white folk in order to get anything out of him, I think is, asking for too much, too. It's like, he's a businessman, and so what's in it for me? That's what he's listening for. So he's in a position, he has some public relations, he's already going to take claims and making credit for something. So again, if I can get directly to his face, get in his ear, I might be able to get him to do this for us, just because whatever he spends to make himself look good, if it helped us, so what? And then from this experience on operating at this level, now gives you opportunity, gives you some experience, and it gives you a chance to go link up with some other individuals, because guess what? Whatever the deal is, alone will not save black people. So there'd be a shit ton more work that needs to be done. But now that we got something accomplished, or we are trying to get something accomplished, we have some experience. We have some exposure to some things, so we can organize and come at this thing again differently this time. It's progressive.
I get so just to expound on what you said, Detroit, and I can agree with that. But further research shows that Ice Cube business partner in the Big Three, the league that Ice Cube owns, and I forget his name, my apologies, but he is best friends with Jared Kushner. The league needed a bailout because, of course, due to COVID, they haven't been able to pay salaries. They haven't been able to maintain their establishment. So further research shows Ice Cube, and once again, we don't know what in the room, but Ice Cube, as Asia mentioned, a rich man, had an agenda because he also wanted a bailout for the league. So, when we say, hey, yeah, Cube, that's a great thing, we also need to follow the money, right? Cube just didn't do that because, but here's the problem that I have, and I'll be brief. The problem I have is, what was Cube willing to? Cube was willing to risk. You know that if you deal with Trump, as toxic as he is, when only 30 to 40% of the country is following him right now. If you do any business with Trump, you are making a calculated risk, right? To know that you are going to only be with 30% of the country. because 70% of the country is not hates Trump guts. Okay, all right, give me 30 seconds. I'm with you, and I'm about to get off in a minute, guys. So it lets you know the really contempt that Trump that Q was trying to go for, what he wanted in return for me being able to deliver black people to you, because we all know the deal was you take parts of my plan and I'm gonna deliver black people, because I'm gonna say I devised the plan. I am in conjunction with you to help our people, not save, to help our people.
And I
But
think all that's speculative.
I mean, we all speculate. We all speculate. We all speculate.
I gotta add something to the pot. I think Chase is onto something, because most people, this is not common knowledge, but the Olympics is about to include 3-on-3 basketball as an Olympic sport.
I
So
didn't
you
know
can
that.
think about the money that's now going to be had in that. That's so yes, I think we do have to absolutely follow money. I think that's what Asa was saying. And then it is, we have to stop moving, right? I personally, I don't care what I had to gain, I personally would never feel comfortable speaking for all black people. There are 6 of us on this call, and we are all intelligent, and we all have very, very different opinions. Why the hell isn't there a commission? You know, to what Ace's point was saying, why wasn't there other people in the room? Right now, all we got is what the media is leaking between a private conversation.
Right.
Why wasn't there more?
Right.
So we were talking about, you talk about Cube and stuff like that, and I'm reading some of the comments coming through. My bud Ray, was asking, about, shouldn't we ask for a vote, which is something that we've spoken about on this show several times. Yes, we should be in a position where we are asking for things for a vote, and like Space said, Cube's timing was so way off, because it seemed as if he was trying to say, in this election at this point in time, to hold our votes for something. What is that something? Well, yes, he met with the administration. I don't know if he actually met with Trump. He said he didn't. Whatever. But from what we've seen in the last 4 years, it has amounted to nothing. Not even, it's not even a hill of beans. Okay, it's all been for show. It's all been for naught. I don't see any true policies that came out of meeting with HBCUs. Yeah, they get a little money, sure. I don't see any true policies that's coming out of meeting for with any of the other celebrities. Okay, sure, some people came out of jail. That happened under other administrations too. Okay, um, so if you're going to do one and two things and then prop them up as the be all end all, to help black people, in this country, I just call foul and I call bullshit. You know, um, we what Cube did, I think, was how you say, it was a step in the right direction. I just think his timing was off, and as Asa has been saying, the collective, there wasn't a collective behind it, because it just seemed as if it was just something that he was just doing on his own, and we know that to get any true push for change, it takes more than just one person, and it takes a collective, and it takes a army behind you. Basically, it takes an army behind you. Go up there, and and we all have to be on that same collective page. Yes, we know black people are not a monolith, and we are not a monolithic voting block either. We have varied, opinions and ideals, but we have to do it in a way that shows force, shows unity, to say, okay, this is what we want. Yeah, this is what is going to affect 90% of black people, or maybe all the black people in the country. So we have to approach it from that standpoint. So with all the other organizations that have policies out there, and maybe all those organizations now need to come together instead of having all their separate policies, floating out there and not having been unified. Those policy, those plans need to be unified. We all need to know what they are, so we can collectively move behind those policies. So we can say, here, this is what all black people in America want. Okay, not what Ice Cube want, not what this organization. This is what we all want, because we've seen it all. We've compared notes. We've compiled, condensed, and said, all right, this is it. How are you going to react to that? Whether it's this administration, the next administration, and God help us if it's the same administration. I'm positive in feeling that nothing is going to change if this same administration continues forward. Ain't nothing gonna happen.
That's where I
Yo, and go ahead. Sorry, D-Tron. I'm gonna let you come back to that thought, because that'll be the wrap on. I want you to finish that thought, because we got 30 minutes. I want us to go into our speed round. Normally we have 15 minutes, but we might have to extend it a little bit. So in the next 30 minutes, I want us to really be focused on solutions. I want us to be calling out organizations that are doing the work on the ground. I want us to be calling out people that we know. Asa, I want to give you a special amount of time to talk about what you're doing at Black Men Build. But before we do all that, D-Tron, I'm going to let you give us the closing comments on this, because I cut you right as you about to. So 30 minutes, fellas. I'm going to be moderating.
I'll be quick. But it's like that comment is just stood out to me. Like, this is what 90% of black people want. It's like, I think I think it's asking for way too much. And I think we can do more for ourselves than they can do for us. And, there's not going to be a consensus of this is what all of us want, because we all have different needs and we all have different values. We all have different perspectives. And to even continue to keep talking about us as a group that needs help is, I think, part of the problem. I think it's part of the problem. If I were any person with a platform that was large enough to speak with whoever the president's administration is, you know what I mean? Because understanding Q's position that Democrats and Republicans are just the same. I get that. I agree with that 1,000%. I stopped pledging allegiance to the flag in the 12th grade because I recognize those other bullshit how they treat us. You know what I mean? Only person, red independent forever. I don't care. I can't vote in the primaries because neither party deserves my allegiance. So if I have the ability to work with whoever's in power, I'm probably not going to like that person, Trump, and I probably don't like Biden either. Even if I like one more than the other, if I'm trying to get some shit done, I got to work with whoever is here. And while some people feel like the polls say, Trump is going to lose, the conversations that I have with people of different, backgrounds and industries and socioeconomic status, hey, this thing is going to be very close. And if Biden wins, I think he's going to win by the skin of his teeth. Don't take it for granted. The ideologies and the philosophies that overwhelm people and get, make people do things a certain way are strong, and they have a mountain of people that's moving them. And I think a lot of Black individuals too, and this will be a whole nother conversation for you guys probably, the percentage of Black people that will come out and vote Democrat this time around, I think will be a little less, because I'm noticing these people who are becoming aware of the bullshit that the Democrats are guilty of and their participation in creating the setup that set us back. They are, in what I think the mistake is, now becoming loyal to Republicans because they're aware, well, hey, this other side's, buy me too. Yeah. But all of that, we're asking for way too much. This is a problem that affects us. This is a systemic issue that's predicated on how shitty America has been to us from the time of slavery and Jim Crow and everything else. And this is why there's a wealth cap. This is why there's an education gap. This is why we're the most vulnerable to heat waves in Chicago or tsunamis or hurricanes in New Orleans or whatever the fuck, or police killings or whatever, or COVID. The reason we're all getting fucked up at these disproportionate rates is because of the bullshit you guys did together to put us in a hole back when our grandparents were young people. You know what I mean? This is not, the generation's not that old. I mean, that's the issue. We can fix that ourselves. So we can, from whatever assholes, enough to do something to help this group to tweak this systemic issue. I think that's a conversation we should have with the broad space. Do something about this specifically, and we're going to keep tinkering on this machine and work on ourselves in the back end, because fuck y'all. That's how I
So
really see it.
that's the perfect segue, sir. Let's get these solutions popping off. Please start us out with what your organization is doing with Black Men Build in wartime as a communication piece. Please start us out with that, sir. Give you a couple minutes on that. And then I want solutions, family. All these intelligent brothers out here, solutions, organizations. Let's do it.
What's going on, y'all? So yeah, Black Men Bill was founded because we noticed that there was for a long time have noticed that there's been a drop off, and or just there never was the amount of participation of Black men in social activism, social work, anything that has to do with kind of giving of yourself and being of service. Black men just are not in that in as high numbers as Black women and other women, right? So it was kind of us saying like, yo, we need to get Black men serving again, and being servants of their community again, which is super important because I think Black men bring a certain energy to the space that is important, that we need to continue to have. Not saying that we take away from any of the beautiful and amazing work that Black women are doing right now, because they deserve it, and they deserve that space and that place that they're in. But all we're saying is that Black men need to step up to that space, so that we can be co-partners in creating and liberating ourselves. So to that end, Black Men Build right now we're a national organization. We're in 8 cities across the nation, working in communities. We've hired organizers. We have a publication that we put out quarterly called Wartime. In this issue of Wartime right now, we're talking about political, the election, things around the election and what it means. We're not taking any sides. So we have not sided with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, because we believe that both in their own ways are corrupt. But we have made a strategic decision. Specific people in the organization have made a strategic decision to vote one way, because we understand what that means. But if you download Wartime, you can go to www.blackmen.build and download Wartime, the fall 2020 edition, and see what we're talking about in there. It's a lot of really good conversations about what's going on. We have a conversation about the fox and the wolf, the Democratic Party being the fox and the wolf being the Republican Party. We have conversations about the state of the Black Union. We have conversations about what it means to be a Black man that is not voting, but is active in your community, because those brothers are important too, right? So we understand that there's a lot of tools in the toolbox that it takes to get us to freedom for our people, right? And all of them don't have to be voting. So if you're a brother in a community that's working on food justice, which means that you're trying to get folks food independent, so creating grocery stores, farming, creating food pantries, different things like that to give folks food and teach them how to be food independent, that's just as important to me as voting, because that's something that we need to do to be able to become self-determinant, right? So just having a conversation about that. We have a sister that wrote something in there that talked about Black men being accountable to Black women, because we believe that we are bonded with Black women and all Black people, right? The masculinity that Europeans have given us is not the masculinity that we should take into the future, right? We need to craft our own masculinity. And some of the things that Black men hold on to was something that was given to us, and something that just doesn't serve us in our community. So we're trying to transform our own Black masculinity too, and be a space that can support Black men in ways that we aren't supported. I mean, it wasn't until I got into this organization that I really had a support space of brothers that I can call and be like, and not have to have something that I have specifically to ask this brother when I pick up the phone with him. Because if you call your homie, it's usually like what you want, not yo, I just need to talk. You know what I'm saying? So creating a space where brothers can support each other is super important and something that we want to have too. So Black Men Build is all things about empowering Black people and uplifting Black men so that they can also empower Black people. We're working, like I said, in 8 cities across the country. Get down with us. Our organizational motto is "Come as you are, grow as you go," because we know a lot of brothers don't understand none of this shit. Our thing is just getting brothers politically engaged, period, right? And getting them to a place where they understand where it's important to engage this country as an organized force. And that's where we're at. And then we can do more political education as we end here. But that's Black Men Build. We're doing that work. I'm down to work with anybody that loves our people and has a good heart. So I'm Asa. Nice to meet y'all.
Salute to you, Asia, man. You're doing big things. It's always amazing how it only takes one. They say 20% of the people do 80% of the work, man. So salute what you're doing. Chat, just to get back on solution, man. I think we talked about it a little earlier. We have to love each other, we said that's such a simple thing to say. Love each other. It's kind of like obvious, right? You're my neighbor, I should love you. But some of us don't even talk to our neighbors. You know what I'm saying? And not even literal neighbors. I'm talking about people you see every day. Some of us don't get along with the people that we see at work. Some of us don't open the door for a young brother coming into the gas station. Some of us don't even speak. Some of us don't even nod our head when we walk by a stranger. These are simple things that we can change to expound our relationships, so that we don't see each other and pull out a cell phone before we say, let me help this brother. And that's where the foundation, it's been cracked. And I know why. It's been years of envy. It's been years of jealousy. It's been years of non-trust. And it even boils down to business. In Miami, you can walk into an establishment and it's Hispanic owned, and you can have 4 or 5 people working, and they might be making $100 a week, but they're pushing ahead to make that owner so that it might be $200 a week. Well, unfortunately with us, we can walk into a business and we get $100 a week, and we counting the owner money. Well, damn, why I'm only getting 100, you getting 2,500? Well, why are you counting my pockets? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, baby. 1 second. So it's just until we get a situation where we understand community economics, the strength of us lies in us, and that we have to trust each other, break down those walls of even trusting each other. You know what I'm saying? To get in business, to do a party. We ain't talking about to build an organization, a political party. We can't trust each other to do a birthday party. Damn, bro, how much you pay for the vendor? Let me see the invoice. So we have to start at the basic building trust of trusting each other, not looking at each other as an enemy, and understanding that we need each other now more than ever. The point that we killing each other at a high clip, and George Zimmerman's walking around drinking Coca-Colas should bother every Black man on this panel, that we are misguided in our anger, and that until that changes, and it will, as I get this motivation from y'all brothers here, that this conversation alone, having more of this, being able to knock down doors, become strangers that become brothers that help each other out, we can do it. It's going to take time, but it can be done.
I want to piggyback on what Space is saying, because I'm a firm believer. I've said it many times, and it's an old saying amongst the Black community. It takes a village. And when we realize that we got to, like Space saying, work together amongst ourselves, we'll become better. As a open hand is not as strong as a closed fist. You got more power when you come together than when you're spread apart. So that's one of the biggest solutions that we have to do, and we have to figure out how to come together as a people and stay together.
So I want to take the second to jump in, and I want to shout out, acknowledge what was said. So, bro, that's a big thing. I understand exactly where you're at. When I got into Me, which is an organization for Black male social entrepreneurs, it was really one of the first times that I've really felt true pride in being a Black man, and understood what it meant to have that camaraderie and Black excellence. And I think what you're doing with Black Men Build is amazing. Um, Space to your comments, sir. Um, you're right. You know, this whole thing requires a dynamic, right, multifaceted approach. It's almost like if we were to look at this from a if we go back to something, we would look at this from a toolbox perspective, right? Or what kind of weapons do we have, right? Everything we've been saying, D-Strong, right? Chef Irie, James, everything that we've been saying, these are weapons, right? These are our arms, and this is what we have to bring to bear. So with that being said, I want to list off a couple of orgs that I know that are doing great work out there that we should look at. Last week we had Dwight Bullard on, the Honorable Brother Dwight Bullard, who was a senator for the state of Florida. He's with the New Florida Majority. We know about the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, right? That's another one of our good friends out there who's making sure that felons have the right to vote. He registered. I want to get the numbers wrong. So if anybody knows the numbers, fact check anybody. Look at how many felons he registered to vote. Even though we got the constitutional amendment in the last election, ACA said it. They tried to pass another law to make sure that even though the people voted for it, they still couldn't get felons to vote. I want to shout out Dream Defenders. And the work that they do, which you don't hear. You hear all about Black Lives Matter and BLM. They were there on the ground and they've been there. I'm not super engaged with what they're doing right now, but I know they're doing some stuff. I want to shout out some organizations we overlook all the time. Our Greek fraternities and sororities, right? They do a lot of building in the community. And, you know, we may not see them as much, but they're out there. I see a lot of Deltas out. You know, I can't call them out by name because that may cause some divisions. But I've seen individual efforts, and I want to see more of that. I want to encourage fellas to join back in. I just wanted to make sure we shouted out some by name. Chefs for the Polls. Dwight sent that to me. We're trying to mobilize some chefs to go out and feed some people. Anybody else got any organization? Anybody else want to shout out? Any other solutions while we're put it out there?
Yeah, I got one. If I could shout myself. I'm not in social services, but I'm in financial services. And I was reading one of the comments. Someone said that we need to talk about economics. Well, so if you felt like I would kept it real and honest, and you want someone to tell you the truth, and I give you a sales pitch, I can help you with your money, or I can help you make money. They're teaching you how to do this and get licensed to work in this business, because there's a shitload of money that we as Black folks mess up. Trillions of dollars. When you look at the 14 or 15% of the population that we represent, trillions and trillions of dollars. So this is money that, regardless of who your favorite president is, if we have 5 more Black ones in a row, I don't know if we could get trillions and trillions of dollars where each and every single one of our households, put their hands on some of that cash. But this is money we can generate ourselves. So when you think of just as us as individuals and households raising our net worth, then all these other organizations automatically have more funding. And one of the things that strangles, a real organization is, lack of funding, trying to get it from the public and hustle for everything. But again, as a people, with the way things are going right now in this economy, it'll take us 228 years to have as much wealth as white households have today. So I don't know what policy can get put in place that's going to close a 228-year gap. I don't know how much education you're going to have to get or what job you're going to need to get. All of us going to have to get to close a 228-year gap when they're still working and getting jobs and have the networks and the business acumen advantage over us as well. So civil rights is great, but I'm for the civil rights. That's my lane. You know what I mean? So if you want to talk about that, you hit me up.
I'm gonna make I tell y'all every podcast we're gonna make T-shirts. That's a new one. Civil rights is great, but I'm for the silver rights. Hilarious. All right, where else? Where we at, brothers? I know we got some other stuff out there. This stuff I don't know about.
We got it. We gonna put this list out there. We gonna grab a couple of more names, Chad, to compile it, and I'll put it out there on You're Plugged In and give it to the brothers so they can also put it out on their outlets if they're up for it.
Yeah, I want us to compile a list that we can literally call. These are our weapons. These are our tools. I mentioned my brother in Pittsburgh with Still Smiling, which is a mental health situation where Black and brown people can go and see other Black or brown people for mental health related issues, and it won't break your pocket. It's something that's just affordable. I know Charlemagne is working on that. I just heard that Taraji P. Henson launched something around mental health. I think we got to talk about those things. I'm going to shout out the organization that a couple of brothers in this room are a part of, Chef Culture. Chef Culture is about culinary professionals, but not just culinary professionals. We are building an ecosystem so that we can control our dollars and so that we can eventually end food deserts across the country. I want to shout out all of the people I see organizing to be at the polls and vote love on election day next week Tuesday. I want to shout out NLC, New Leaders Council. Yes, Progressive Training Institute. Not exactly on the left, not exactly on the right. We do tend to lean towards the Democrats, but NLC is an amazing organization that teaches young leaders how to be more politically active and engaged across the country, all 50 states. Come on, y'all. I mean, I'm just out there. Look, we're talking about other stuff. I need us to finish strong with some energy about what the solutions are.
I would just say something that's happening now is two things. This is just a general fact that being involved around the liberation of your people doesn't have to be like you protesting in the street or you like fighting for legislation or anything like that. It can just be you using the tools that you have and the things that you're good at to benefit your folks, right? So if you're good at chefing, then chef for your people in some type of way, right? If you're an architect, maybe ask if somebody needs help, if there needs help to be, if there's a community center that needs to be built and you could lend a hand pro bono, right? Or if they're in your off time, if there's, et cetera, whatever you can do, if you can teach, what are you putting inside of your curriculum to the Black kids, right? So it doesn't have to be like some very ostentatious thing that you do. It could be you using your tool set to benefit your folks. And if all Black folks thought like that, then we move forward a lot more. And then I'll say that something that's happening around the country, specifically in Florida and other states everywhere, there's a front line that has been created around voting right now. Not voting, but protecting people at the polls, right? So Trump, white supremacists, and a lot of folks recently have been going a little bit crazy and have even started to harass people at polling sites. So what we've done is we've made a call to all Black men, even if you don't care about voting, if you don't care about government, you should care about your grandma and your auntie and your brother and your cousin that will go out there and vote. So we're calling Black men to stand in solidarity and go to the polls, your nearest polling location. We have trainings to watch, be wary, and make sure that everything's going decently and in order at polling sites, just to make sure our folks that do want to vote can vote if they want to. Because like I said, whether or not you like to vote or you think it's trash or whatever you think, your people should not be hindered by white supremacy. And that should just be a line that you draw on the ground, like no matter what they want to do. So if you're down to protect your people at the polls, let me know. I can get you more information.
And Chad, just to kind of, I'm sorry, to jump in with another solution. Tron kind of mentioned it, but supporting Black businesses, man, supporting Black businesses at every clip. Whether it's your local restaurant, your local washer, barber. Just support, making it a strategic habit of supporting a Black business helps everyone in the long run. It's like putting money back in your own pocket. The stronger we are financially, the stronger we are politically, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So definitely making it a strategic. Even got to go out your way, unfortunately, to support a Black business. I think is definitely one of the major plug into our solutions, just in general.
Yo, love that. So shout out to all the different Black business sites out there. Locally, I know we have Rochelle Davis with Broward Black Business. I know we have the Black Business Directory. I know we have Star X with the Hungry Black Man who support. He goes out his way all the time. I know we have Local on a national level who's supporting Black businesses. So shout that out. We've got to go ahead and wrap up. These conversations are always amazing. I'm surprised. There's so much to these topics, y'all. I love that we can come here and build. I want to give everybody a couple of minutes. This is how we do, fellas. At the end of this, we give everybody a couple of minutes. And thank you, Chef Andre Walker, for commenting and being there all night, man. Bless up. But let's give everybody a couple of minutes to go ahead and give their wrap. This is a few minutes to put anything. Any point that people must know. These last few minutes are your soundbite. Guest, you will go last. So I start out with our regulars. So that's James and Irie, myself, and then guest, you get a chance, and it's just like I said, anything. This is your soundbite, bro. So if this is a clip, let them bars fly. All right, fellas, Mr. Howard, producer extraordinaire, talk to us.
All right. I'm going to just keep it the way I was tonight, that we got to come together as a community and see how we can work together to make things better for our community first. Take care of us before we take care of anybody else. That should be the solid ground that we build upon. Take care of us before we take care of anybody else. Circulate that money in the community before it goes anywhere out of our community. Because that if it stays in our community, it's building our community. So that's basically all I have to say. Chad, I'm always short.
I know, I love it. I love it.
Short and powerful. Short and powerful.
Brethren.
Yo.
Yo.
I don't know what much I can. But I got something Detron said earlier that I kind of disagree a little bit with, is that he said, we probably ask for too much. I think we don't ask for enough.
I agree.
And I don't see there a problem with asking for all of it, whatever all of it means. As I'm reading, through the chat, as it comes through, my boy Ray's, saying economics and economics is important. It's very important. Like James said, that's what's going to make our communities grow and flourish. But the consensus through all these podcasts is that we lack unity for that to develop, for the economy, the economics to flow the way it should flow. We're still so very divided amongst ourselves, because we don't, I guess, see a pathway where we're able to, I don't know, sustain ourselves, or to consistently make these plans work. We always seem to be fighting amongst ourselves to make that work. You made a comment about, the Jewish community, to solidify themselves in under, less than in 3 decades. We haven't been able to do that because we are still so divided amongst ourselves. we fight against each other. The crab in the barrel mentality is still prevalent, and as much as many of these um, you know things that come up, to help us in the community. If five people, suggest certain things, there's five people that's writing it down because they have other ulterior motives and other agendas. And until we are able to be unified, you know, the economics of Black people, I think, will always be stagnant, you know, or just not moving as quickly as it needs to move, So yes, we have to, look about for ourselves for sure. And I think inherently, yes, we're all conservatives, but I think being conservatives sometimes make you, I think, become fearful. Not because it was uh, a Democrat thing or Republican thing or what have you, but I think just being just wholehearted conservatives, I just want people to be more verbose, and stop fearing, just like the whole police thing. We keep fearing the retribution, but I think if we're able to form more unified forces, we'd find more viable solutions, um, to put us on a more positive pathway. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. So for my piece, I think that we need to be, as I said, the word dynamic. But at the same time, I think we need to be nuanced, right? This is a multi-dimensional, multi-directional approach. I don't think that we count out any solution that can help move us forward. At the same time, I also think that we have to get more in the mindset of prioritizing our interests as opposed to our emotions, right? Let's figure out ways to channel our emotions. Asa said it earlier about some of the steps he used, right? Let's figure out a way to support, Black businesses. James said that, right? Let's figure out a way, as I was just saying, to be able to build with a lot less fear, right? Let's look at what Detrone was saying about the monetary piece and building up your health and closing that gap. What I'm saying is there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. There are multiple things. To me, the base thing that you can do, right? The smallest action you can take is to vote in every election, right? To me, the only wrong thing that you can do is to not do anything. Inaction is action, right? And I think at this point, you have to pretty much go out of your way to not be involved. Why? Right? Why? Because if you won't do it for you, do it for your family, do it for your kids, do it for everybody else. I mean, like I said, I don't want to cancel anything out. I think we need to talk and we need to listen and we need to think deeply. We need to think critically. And Asa, I'm stealing. We need to think strategically. And we need to have open and honest conversations. Stop bullshitting each other. If you don't agree with something, that's fine. You don't have to agree, right? There's several things that were said I didn't agree with. It don't matter. If this brother called me tomorrow, I'm riding with him. Anybody, because that's the way I feel like I need to move. That's my thing. So D-Tron, Space, Asa, whoever wants to go first, y'all got a few minutes. Jump in there.
Okay, I think I already did my, my closing. When I talked about, how I really feel regarding the political sides, and I say my lane. That's why, that's why I called it just that. This is my lane. The money part. I mean, everything else is relevant. Prison reform, extremely relevant. Police reform, extremely relevant. Economic empowerment, extremely relevant. I would definitely not stand in the way of anybody who feels like another lane is their calling, and that's where the focus needs to be, because We need individuals who are passionate about each one of those lanes, you know, driving the car at the same time. You know what I mean? I remember that meme a long time ago. Some people were having conversations, some people are protesting, some people are donating. Don't matter what you're doing, just, you know, keep doing it. You know what I mean? Keep your foot on the gas. But I think that, you know, the things internally that really came that I think that we can be active and actually help replicate is the conscious awareness that when we look at each other, you know what I mean, look at each other as my brother first. You know what I mean? And, you know, somebody was talking when they said that, and I know I went through a period of time in my mind where I was aware of it, and I was consciously trying to deprogram myself from sizing every other black dude up that I saw immediately, because I wanted to figure out if he was a threat or not before I relaxed or took my eyes off of him. But, you know, that's upbringing, you know what I mean, in certain environments. But, you know, look how antagonistic that'll make us against one another. That right there will hesitate and stop you, something that might save you before an officer has to shoot you or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's something that we can start being conscious of and putting it into practice ourselves, because we all have kids, they'll see it. And then you just don't know how that thing is going to grow, and people start paying it forward. The next, you know, somebody be talking about it in a song. So I think that's great. And obviously the group economics in the form of, you know, yes, being intentional about, you know, giving our service to Black business. Even if the service is bad, we make plenty of excuses for, you know, bad service when the other people give us bad service, and we still go back and deal with them, etc. Even if we go away for a little bit, we come right back, you know, like trained. So, you know, do it for the bigger purpose of, hey, trying to help, you know, somebody else be an entrepreneur. Because guess what? Entrepreneurship will get taught faster if more people in our communities were entrepreneurs and failed forward and taught it to their kids, versus waiting for the curriculum to change on the national level. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with all that red tape and administration. So whatever it is we think is a good idea, if we model it and telling other people to, I think would be one of the most progressive things that, you know, can come from this and this conversation. The people that watch it, the people that comment. We'll just say, you know, at all times, be preaching, and when necessary, use words. So everything we talking about, just do. You know what I mean? And if you're a Black business owner, try to do business with other Black owners, because in order for that money to stay in our community, more than, hey, I bought my groceries at this Black grocery store, because that Black-owned grocery has to do business with Black farmers, you know, or stuff like that, and, you know, maybe get their seeds from a company, you know, that's Black-owned that produces seeds, or, you know, kill, you know, the insecticide. Group economics, and that is on that level. So if we're really going to make economics work and a discussion and a 24-hour thing, it's about looking at how everything's connected and taking the time to understand that, you know, well, hey, if Gucci is this much money, well, what type of land? And then, you know, what part of the cow is it? And then how is it dyed, and where does that work? And then what are all the links in this whole business chain that I might be able to jump in? And that's, you know, how it evolves and we become stronger, because 228-year gap, you know, if nothing else, that's how many years. Time is measured, wealth is measured in time. And we're 220 years behind, regardless of all the LeBrons or the dude that paid the tuition at Morehouse College and Oprah and Michael Jordan. Our 14% is it take us 228 years to catch up to what they got today. I'm done.
Love it, love it. Space, Asa, you want to know who's next?
Well, I jump in real quick. So once again, man, it's just been an honor to be on the panel, man. You guys are motivating. I'm gonna be quick, man. Action steps. 1, tomorrow, open up the door for a Black man. If he's behind you, say hello to a Black man. Say how you doing, my brother, to a stranger. You know, these are simple things that, like the Tron said, you do, and your kids see you doing it. So they may do it in school. You know, this small steps that we can do, right? We always think, oh, somebody come save us. As we sit in this video, if we don't save ourselves, the inevitable happens, right? You know, so, you know, calling the old friend, you know, hey, how you doing, man? You was on my mind. How's everything? How's your family? Talking to your neighbor. Hey, how you doing? I've been living here for 10 years. I never spoke to you, man. You know, These are small steps we can do to build around us, not waiting for someone to come save us and be super Jesus. Save ourselves that our kids can implement or other people can implement. And they say, well, damn, these guys, these guys haven't spoken in years. You know what? I'm gonna call my buddy and see how he doing. And these things replicate themselves, and before you know, we have a small movement that's not televised. Open up a black bank account with $100. I remember I read a book about a story. It said black people go to church, we scramble all this money up to give our tithes, and then the pastor go put it into a white church on Monday morning. Here we are scraping up all our money to give our tithes, and then we go give it to Wells Fargo to loan it to people who hate our guts. So open up a black account. That's simple. Googling and seeing what black bank is in your area, and open it up with $100. Just small steps. And then the last step, man, just love each other like God loves us. You know what I'm saying? That's a simple step. And it's these simple ripples that we can make, just 6 of us can make, that'll change in a week's time. We come back next week and we all did these small, simple steps. Man, it can be a ripple effect. And then it just keeps replicating, keeps getting bigger. And that's how a movement is born.
Love it, bro. I'm going to open up an account with Killer Mike tomorrow. Thank you, sir. Asa, family.
Yeah, what's good? So 3 things: love, knowledge, and struggle is something that we believe is important when it comes to staying engaged in your community and doing what you need to do for your folks. So love, firstly, like love your people. Do what Brother Space just said. Talk to your neighbor, talk to your friends, say how you doing, brother. Love your culture. So like, what have you read about your culture? When's the last time you took some green? You really looked at how your grandma or somebody made greens or somebody made soul food and really appreciated what your culture brings to the world. Whether you're Jamaican, Haitian, whatever you are, that's Black culture. So when's the last time you loved it? You know what I'm saying? We're so much more than what they say about us. So I think it's really important to breed a self-love for you and your culture. So just love it. There's a lot of events going on during Black History Month. There's events going on all the time around African history, around Black history, around Black hair, around all of that stuff. So find a way to find some love for your people and what your people have put into the world, whether that be rap, hip hop, whatever. Breed a love for your folks. And then knowledge. So knowledge is political education or just education, period. So what have you studied? Are you studying any at all about your people and what's going on in the world with your folks? Like, have you read any Black history when it comes to the United States? Have you read any Black history when it comes to the diaspora, the Caribbean history? Have you read any African history? Have you read any history about Black folks in China and Asia and Europe and all of these different places? What do you know about your folks? What do you know about what's currently going on politically around the world and what that means for your folks here in South Florida? So that's staying tuned in, going to a book club, right? So I'm a part of the South Florida Marathon Book Club that was created kind of out of the death of Nipsey Hussle. And we've been reading all of the books that he read before he died. And it's a group of Black men, all Black men, reading and discussing books. Our next session is tomorrow. So it's important to be knowledgeable about what's going on around you so that you can kind of call audibles and understand like, yo, I know what's going on in the world so I can make good decisions about how to move my family and what to tell my people about where we should go. Because if you're not reading and you're not studying, then don't be out here running your mouth like you know something if you actually ain't plugged in. Because the worst thing is letting a fool lead the folks, lead our people. So study, you got to study. It's important. And then the last thing is struggle. So be a part of some type of organization or some type of group of Black folks or people that's moving some sort of issue. Pick your issue, whatever it is. If you like education, if you like economics, like the Tron, if you like climate, if you like whatever you like, get plugged into an organization of folks that are taking action. I'm not saying that you need to be out there every day or doing whatever, go to every meeting, but you need to lend some type of hand to it, right? If you can send an email, if you can be a part of some type of meeting that helps people bring together thoughts, around how to move this thing forward. If you like legislation, can you help them on that, right? So be a part of some type of group that is struggling and taking action for Black folks, right? So those three things I think are super important: love, knowledge, and struggle. If you do those three things, then God bless you as a Black person. Bless.
Love it, bros. Love it. I think that is so much more than a mouthful. There is so much said that needs to be digested tonight. As always, this show is about bringing you a perspective about American life, about politics, about, just everything from the lens of a Black man. This is King Talk, it's barbershop talk. A lot of times we have our women, we always say that Black women have they're definitely the future. And we started this conversation by checking in with them and saying that we need to develop more Black women to stand up alongside our women. So we'll end it that way. But if you love what we're talking about, if you love the facts that we're bringing up, we're just starting. We've got a long way to grow. We got a lot way to get better. We encourage you to tune in every week, every Tuesday at 9. There's going to be another episode of The Bridge. Next week is going to be a special because Tuesday is actually election. So keep your eyes out for the post. We may move it to Monday. We may do a live, as they call it, going through the numbers on Tuesday night. We'll see. But we want y'all to join, support, to share, to tell a brother, go spread love, take all the advice you can get, and we appreciate y'all. We'll see you next week. It's The Bridge, family.